What's good, y'all? I just, of course, want to invite y'all to another, I guess thought provoking, but, accountable conversation, and inventory, checking our inventory conversation because, you know, as human beings claiming to have a certain level of maturity, responsibility, accountability, obligation, things of this nature. It's nice to take inventory from time to time, those things which we say that we care for, um, and consider just what kind of a job that we are doing in performing that. So first and foremost, I wanna pose this scenario to you. So you give birth to a daughter, and well, even beyond that, you want people to succeed, right? You want us to live in harmony. You want us to live in peace. You want to be able to prosper. You want the surrounding environment to be able to prosper as well, as peacefully as possible. Minimal wickedness, minimal destruction, minimal evil. You know what I'm saying? Again, not entirely removed. Some of you would say entirely removed, but personally, I don't think that's possible. I think I'm being pretty reasonable in saying that okay, we have a certain precedent to which we can say that evil or wrongness or disunity or discord, all this is undesirable. You know what I'm saying? Prosperity, success, unity, harmony, these things are desirable. Okay, so you have a daughter and you raise her to be great, you know? And the reason why you raise her to be great is because you don't want your daughter to fail, right? You don't want any of your children to fail. You don't want uh, dishonor upon yourself. You don't want shame upon yourself just to have the thought, like just to have the distant thought. You know what I'm saying? You'd rather create something that you're proud of than create something that you're disappointed in, especially to know that you have created that thing and you had control over the development of that thing. So anyway, we raise our daughters to be great, whatever that's supposed to mean. One of those things that it would include would be, well, apparently it's a part of the public conversation of whether or not women should work. Now let's also not dismiss the fact that because I feel like this conversation is kind of this particular part of the conversation is many times misconstrued. Like the problem has never been that women worked, right? Like the problem has never been that women work. Okay, the problem has been that, well, first of all, men love women and genuinely so, and you know through our many ways that we try to show our love, sometimes that means that we want to really just make somebody's life as easy as possible. You know what I'm saying? We want somebody to be as comfortable as possible. We want somebody to go through minimal suffering as possible, right? Just like with the grander world. And so they would seek to, and mind you, I'm keeping consideration of the fact that we're talking even without kids. You know what I'm saying? To make this woman's life as easy as possible, and perhaps just to help have her, instead of having to go through all of the suffering and the pain and the trials and tribulations of like the greater world, whatever that means. Especially knowing like the dynamics between the sexes, knowing how things look, knowing how things could be, whatever. That he just have her basically like take care of what he needs, the things that he can't fulfill on his own, you know what I'm saying, that he wants to see, while he goes ahead and he deals with the larger world, which simply treats him differently in terms of what it gets from him, i.e. or e.g. really, for example, like his physical like his literal physical, women know that they're physically inferior to us, and don't let her have, the smallest bit of beauty, because now she's a target, you feel me, and being used for certain other reasons that perhaps are not as dignified or even relevant, you know what I'm saying, as many of the reasons why we choose men, or why, or how we review men, really. But anyway, so the problem has not always been that women work. The problem, there has never been a problem with the fact that women work. Women were only encouraged to work because of World War II, and the lack of men that were available to do the work that was necessary for us to remain successful. And I'm speaking from the perspective of the United States, okay? I'm not speaking in the general world, because in the general world, for example, through the rule of the Moors, that is before the Spaniards, that is before the Europeans, that is before the white people, as you guys would like me to say, women did work. Our women did work, and it mattered. It didn't really seem like that trivial of a matter. You know what I mean? We prospered quite well. Everybody prospered quite well. I'm saying we. It wasn't just black people, because black people also, the Moors also permitted racial tolerance, you know what I'm saying, religious tolerance. Everybody was able to come on through and succeed, to live, to thrive, you know what I'm saying, to share this world, to cohabitate, you know what I'm saying. So anyway, you get your woman, we want our women to work, because we don't want our women, right, because it makes sense, right, we don't we don't want our women to be struggling, suffering, alone, and just, right, again, we know universally the general inferiority of women, and what we mean by their general inferiority is particularly their physical inferiority, right, and thus, we do our best to fortify our daughters, you know what I'm saying, to be the best that they can. And again, I'm speaking on an average level. Everybody wants to try to insert that. Oh, yeah, I have my own definition. I have my own reason. But listen, I don't even have a daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just trying to I'm trying to reason it. I'm trying to just understand it in, like, the most reasonable light that I can. And I'm inviting your feedback, right? I'm inviting your commentary, your response to, like, this picture that I'm painting, and how you feel about this. But women are generally physically inferior, and so, we worry about, the ways that they can be targeted. You know what I'm saying? Even for their goodness, they can be targeted. We're so sensitive to that. So we do our best to strengthen them and stuff like that, and we want her to work. So we have, like, a certain baseline understanding as a society, right, to say that women should be able to work, right? Women should be able to go out and work. Now, even though as well women worked less than they do now, than they did before the 40s and 50s. Even though women work way less, it doesn't mean that they did nothing, right? I mean, one of the things that they did was they were being prepared at home, you know what I'm saying, with their families, to be a wife, to be, a man's responsibility, to help, and helping in whatever other ways, you know what I'm saying, that they could. Digression. So anyway, we say as a foundation that yes, women should be able to work, okay? And there's no law that was, like, ever saying, you know what I'm saying, women couldn't work. Like, again, we need to make sure that this is clear. Like, it was never a thing where it was like, oh no, women can't work. Like, no, like, okay, that's one of the biggest things that we need to make clear out of this. Okay, so anyway, your woman is fortified, whatever. She's strong. Your daughter, she's strong. You know what I'm saying? She has a career or whatever. She's making money for herself. You know, whatever. She has her own thing going on. But you know, finances are not the only place, or employment career is not the only place that we discuss things with anybody. You know, women or men. You know, one of the other areas that we talk about is, well, our affection toward other people, our interest in other people, especially in the opposite sex. You know, and I mean, consider our how our anatomical makeup contributes to the um, the general propensity that we have toward one another, the general propulsion, excuse me, that we have toward one another, a general attraction that is, and thus interest in these longer term plans. And you're teaching your daughter through that time that, oh yeah, blah blah blah, you know, because you know, men, this, first of all, they're physically superior to you, okay, so they can defend you, they can protect you. You know what I'm saying? People generally just like deal with them differently. They have a different set of things that they get judged for and stuff like this. Um, you know, you can make children together. You know, you can build a kingdom together, join families, all this type of stuff. And some of them are even willing to take some men love so strongly, right? They're saying this, that they're willing to take care of you, and you just might get lucky enough to find you one of those men, you know, who just don't want you to do anything. You could just sit at home and chill, and he just takes care of everything, right? This is desirable, like, for everybody. Like, this is, they're like, yay, I get to do nothing. I get to contribute fucking nothing. Oh, I have somebody who's willing to take care of me. I can find somebody who's willing to take care of me, and I do absolutely nothing. This is aspirational. Like, this is absolutely desirous. So I'm being taught both that I can work, I should work, I should get my own stuff. Nothing feels better than having your own stuff. But simultaneously, I am I'm strongly desirous of a man who is willing to take care of all my needs and not even have me worry about whether or not I have to work. I can just live off of him. Okay, so you have that situation. So then you're like, because mind you, you also see the proof of it, right? Because there's a certain level of it where you sit there with a certain sense of disbelief, like, nah, you know, people don't really give like that, right? Like, these are just random people. They're not just gonna give like that, right? Like, they're not. That's not really all that realistic. But then you hear about all of these different cases of, you know, marriages. Oh, first of all, that you can get married. But furthermore, that married people wind up splitting, even with having children. And, you know, the amounts of money, the kinds of money, and that money is exchanged in closing of these divorcements, and not as like a one-time payment, but as like a, for example, 18-year payment or a perpetual payment, just for the sake of marriage. And, you know, on the one hand, yes, there's always the reaction of, oh man, this is unjust, or this is messed up, or this shouldn't be happening. But we cannot also forget those who react and who see this, and they react in such a way where they go, oh, wait a minute, that could be me. You know, and I don't mean the guys, right? I don't just mean the guys. Even though the guys do say it, and they know that, like, oh yeah, like, right, like, that's why a lot of guys are like, oh yeah, no, I'm not getting married. You know what I'm saying? Because that could be me. You know. But there are also women who are looking at that situation who are like, oh, that woman could be me. I could be the one getting a come up real quick. You know what I'm saying? Getting knocked up by one of these guys, marrying one of these guys, and all of that type of stuff, and just being set for life to some degree. um, by preying on this man's life, um, by sabotaging this man's life. So now, really, all I have to do is find ones who have the money, do my little acting gig, you know what I'm saying, for as long as I have to, and I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be set. And I really think we underestimate the amount of women who think like this, especially in this time. Especially in this time, there's an overwhelming amount of women who think, feminism has matured, women's rights have matured, DEI has, become a thing. Just the political conversation has very much, amped up, and it has leaned in a certain direction. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, what are we dealing with, right? Because we're able to see the effects. Fertility rates are hitting all-time lows all the time. Family dysfunction, abuse of children and neglect and stuff like this. General distrust and stuff like that in community. Discomfort, struggle with cohabitation. Job availability, or general just community prosperity. All these things are suffering under this attitude that has occupied our environment for so long. Now, I posted a video on TikTok earlier today about this topic, a more condensed version of this topic, where a person immediately, they went race. I didn't even mention race, right? I don't, because you don't have to go race. Actually, I had one of my white homeboys. I really hate talking like that, by the way. But one of my white homeboys, who's not a father, he talked about, staying focused on your goals or whatever, and not, having to worry about a woman trying to keep your kid away from you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so trust me, like I don't even talk or think in the racial ways for things, especially not at for do I or can I take? Yes, but it's really not a primary, source of whatever, taking a position, or it's not a primary source of like just substance for an argument, unless the argument is a racial one, or about a racial one. But this is not racial. Like, this is men and women. Like, this is sexual. This is men and women. But anyway, the person said, your race has never taken care of women or had to take care of women. Blah, blah, blah. Women have always worked in your race, etc., etc., etc. I'm going to have a formal response to this on TikTok as well. But I will say briefly on that, even though I really don't think it's appropriate right now. But even for these types of people to say that, like, black men haven't had to work, haven't had to work haven't been taking care of their women or whatever for so long. Let us not forget our condition. Let us not be dismissive of what our condition has been, being in this country, especially the men, right? And I say especially the men, but I mean even in lieu of the women who have, for example, accepted government benefits, which encourage the separation and dysfunction of our families, and accepted things like child support, and these same women who would be practice infidelity, or seek, interracial relationships, because they know that they can get better advantages and stuff like that, because women do have this expectation that they need to be taken care of, or that a man should take care of them. Okay. Now, I want to use that really quickly, though, as a platform, really, for where I'm really trying to get us to. Okay. And it's really necessary that really both of these things happen, and more. But I'll even give you the or, just to discuss it. We have to, whether A, discourage women from entering the workforce right, from working, from being in the labor force, or B, we have to abolish the legal extortion features of child support, alimony, these intermeddlings of intimate human interactions. Like the government is way too involved in the minutia, especially in that regard, because there are so many factors, right, that play into these relationships between men and women, beyond identifying that yes, the larger system has gone ahead and taken a hand in it, right? It's had to, again, it's new, it's had to get to this point where they, go ahead and get involved. And women, like the worst thing is that at the same time that women are considered so weak and helpless and needy and need to be taken care of and precious and all of this type of stuff, right? Women are also looked at as worthy of being empowered, or being empowered and strong and tough and capable, like self-capable, like capable. And these things interfere, in many different ways. And so what winds up happening is, oh, okay, well, at the same time that a like it's ironic, at the same time that like a woman will be like, oh, women are so like, women I want, somebody else commented, they were like, men pay child support because it's usually women who take care of the child, but women kill their children all the time, first of all. Second, and that's always been a thing. Women constantly, they're looking for nannies, babysitters. They want to party. They want to have fun, right? They want to live lives too, right? They want to do. They have their own lives to live, right? And right, their own lives to live. That's the other interesting thing about the workforce thing, because I'm like, women don't even be wanting to do the stuff that they're doing. Like a career aspiring woman is nowhere close to as much of a threat as a career aspiring male. And you may not like my wording, but this is how you guys think of it, or this is how it's been thought about. So, because of the fact that a woman is willing to both be taken care of, is being taught to both be taken care of and also to have her own, that that life can be supplemented, you know what I mean? Like she doesn't really feel any real responsibility, toward anything. Like she feels like, well, both I can I can depend on people, I can lean on people, and I can also go out there and try to get it myself. But obviously it's easier to lean on other people to do it. You know what I'm saying? So I would much rather just lean on other people, as I've always been able to, right? Rather than, try to get it myself, even if I already have it myself. Like, I'll just take the shortcut. I'll just go ahead and take the quick route. Career-minded women are so much more willing to drop everything to, like, they're lazy, bro. Like, women don't do things, and they'll follow orders and all of that type of stuff. They know that they do, partially because they're physically inferior and all of this. But women are let me put it this way. Men are much more resistant to the idea of relinquishing everything, you know, for the sake of comfort, convenience, you know what I'm saying, than women, you know? I couldn't tell you how many times I've had girlfriends who they had businesses, like they're like whatever, they were pursuing something, they were doing something career minded, whatever. And then just because they had a boyfriend now, just because they had a boyfriend, like all of that comes to a stop. You know, regular posting, whatever, meetings and stuff like that. It kind of makes their lives unbelievable. Like it's like, you know, well, if that's your bread and butter, right, and this is how you've been sustaining yourself, then how can you just stop, right? How can you just stop? There are a few ways we can reason this, right? One of those ways is to say that well, you expect me to take care of you, but even more, getting more intimate, like your parents take care of you, your family takes care of you. You know what I'm saying? Like you have somebody else funding your lifestyle. Like this thing isn't really all that real, or of course it's just a facade, right? It's just a facade, just like most other people. Most people are just lying anyway. You know what I'm saying? Especially women. But anyway, you know, most people are lying. You know, as a man, no matter what I've been going through, I've always been focused on what I'm doing. I've always been, you know, and still been able to sustain that love and maintain that love. That you know, none of that ever goes away. You know, but it's definitely about respecting yourself. And you know, like I said, I don't really know any men who are like that. I know men, so because really for men, for men, when men do that, like we call that falling off, right? We call that slipping. You know what I'm saying? Like we call that lacking and all of that. You know, whereas for women, it's just like that's just what she does. She's supposed to do that because she's looking forward to or hoping that somebody comes and takes care of her. She, you know what I'm saying? Like her life. You know what I'm saying? Men really do not have those types of expectations, right? Or like your average man really does not have that expectation. Your average man is fighting for his sustenance, and he's going to continue to follow toward the virtuous. The average virtuous man is fighting for, you know what I'm saying, his ability to survive and sustain the kingdom that he is building. You know what I'm saying? No matter what, nothing gets ahead of that. You know what I'm saying? And the entire explanation of that, the entire articulation of that is really, that's the argument of why, well, you know, really removing women from the workforce or discouraging women from the workforce, and it's not, and again, it's like maybe it's the way that I'm kind of wording it, but you know, going back to, I guess, or staying true to this idea that, oh nah, women should be, you know, edifying us, preparing us, uplifting us, helping us. They are our partners, right? To ensure that the environment is as harmonious, you know, as possible. How can you help us? What kind of ways can you contribute, or we can show you, right? Or we can have it, you know, partly from your desire to be in the fucking house all day, lazy, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, you know, doing nothing, or I mean, again, like this way that I talk, but you know, I guess I'm so exasperated by, you know, these ways of the times, but you know, beautifying things, right? But staying, you know what I'm saying, like out of the way, just like giving you your place right over here, not in the workforce, the labor force, you know what I'm saying, whatever, get an allowance from your husband, whatever the case may be, so that other men can work and create lanes and ways for women to be able to live comfortable lives, whatever that means, right? Whatever that means. And then on the other hand, as I already discussed, the other thing that could be done is getting rid of the legal extortion options. Like I said, really both of these things should be dealt with. But even if it's just the one thing, you know, you're supposed to get married out of genuine love. That's what we've always thought. We've always thought that, well, first of all, you can be my boyfriend or girlfriend, and you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, I can take you to the next level of wanting to marry you. Why would I want to marry you or take it from one level to another, you know what I'm saying, if I don't have any real interest in you. Like if I don't have any real interest in you, you know what I'm saying? And financial interest is not a real interest in the sense of, because they say you don't shit where you eat. You know, don't get your meat where you make your bread. You know what I'm saying? So, and those are just like, you know, cliches or whatever. But you know, nonetheless, the point that I'm making is, if because you date, right, or whatever, most people date before they get married, you know. So and even if not, you know, they force the marriage through, but this isn't it's like an official thing. It's an enhancement on just a regular level stranger or acquaintance, excuse me, human relationship. So there are reasons. Okay, so why do I need to be punished, or how much more do I need to be punished if this relationship comes to a close, just because of the fact that, you know, this person or that person felt like, or both of us felt like, you know, we're out of touch, like we're no longer, like there's nothing else here. What is the point? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is the point of, you know, getting together and, you know, adding insult to injury with divorcement fees and alimony payments and child support payments and stuff like that, when your heart is already all, you know, shattered and everything from dealing with this woman emotionally, mentally, you're messed up, you're traumatized. You know what I'm saying? For a very long time, and not just men. Obviously, women are capable of this as well. But you know, you're mentally damaged. You know, very much so. You know, from having to deal with the disintegration, really, of, you know, something of a relationship. You know what I'm saying? And definitely our relationships are more valuable than, you know, our financials, right? I mean, we say that all around the world, all along the socioeconomic classes, all along, and all of the cultures and everything, right? Like, money isn't stronger than your relationships. So why do we need all of this extra? You know what I'm saying? And then especially considering the fact that, again, it's not like it's just like, oh, well, you know, the love didn't work, so sorry, I guess we're splitting now. And hey, you know, in the meantime, we probably did some work together, maybe not. And so I'm entitled to some of that money that we made, or the money that we would be making if we were the money that we would be having if we were still together. No, like it's not like it's just that. Actually, very much the environment has become about, oh, nah, that could be me. I could be getting paid from exploiting another man's situation. You know? Because it usually is the man. I mean, I know Holly Berry or whatever is paying child support payments, and there's some other women who are out there paying, you know, or who have lost cases and stuff like that. Hey, and shout out to those guys. But just because women have the ability to have to suffer these kinds of consequences that mostly men have to face, it doesn't mean that the consequence should exist to begin with, right? Like, it doesn't mean that the problem should exist in the first place. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have to do a nice video on First Corinthians, really a video on marriage, right? And like my sentiments on marriage, and relationships, right? And being with people. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in what you guys think. Should we, like, what do y'all think is better? Do y'all think that we should prevent women from being, or discourage women from being in the workforce by instead, you know, like projecting where we feel like women, you know, projecting the things that we actually want from women or need from women, or the things that seem to be most desirous for women, such as being able to do nothing and to be taken care of. Or should we eliminate, you know, these forms of legal extortion, child support, alimony, you know, whatever, these divorcement fees and all of this type of stuff, even though that probably could come from the officiation from, you know, legal and all that type of stuff. But you know what I'm talking about, the child support, the alimony, the, you know, things of that nature. These things need to be removed. Do you agree that these things should be removed, with the and or? Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed today's conversation. These are things that were on my mind. And I will see you guys in the next one.